What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Dynasty Trade Show. I don't have a cold. I sound much better. And this is the last one before the Fantasy Football Expo. Adam and I were just talking about it before we hit the record button. Just a few short days. I'm going to see that beautiful son of a bitch in person.
In person. We got live trade show, in-person trade show. I should say maybe not live, but in-person trade show, in-person AMA. Let's go, buddy. It's a time like no other.
I'm ready. Let's go. I'm ready to rock. Tear it up.
Welcome to South Harmon.
None of us wearing it today, but if you do,
Nope.
You're into jerseys, you're into whatever kind of fan gear, certifiedsh.it will take you over to our partner Fanatics. Basically, lets them know that we sent you there. Make sure you go check that out. Also, as you can see behind Mike, and just barely behind me, Nick Chubb maybe getting a second chance at life. Signed shit, some signed memorabilia, signed sh.it. They got some crazy box breaks, all kinds of really cool signed merchandise from NFL teams, all kinds of other teams if you're not into the NFL, which would be wild if you're watching this show and not into the NFL. However,
maybe
it's possible. Anything can happen on the Dynasty Trade Show.
Maybe we're just that good looking.
Speaking of, is it possible, Mike? I've seen the trade that you made. If you want to be a part of the trade show, patreon.com/South Harmon. $1 gets you in the door. Go over to the completed trades channel where you can put in your trades on the trade show. Become a part of the trade show, because we're going to start off with you, Mr. Iowa Michael, getting a deal done, leading us off here with the pack. Speaking of, is anything possible? I mean, do you believe in miracles? Here's the crazy part. If you didn't watch AMA, right? JCap asked the question, and at the time, I believe the trade wasn't accepted. Jamar Chase or Brock Bowers, and this is it's called Dynasty Best Balls or Dodgeball Best Balls, whatever it is. We'll show you the warp and all that. But it's an all-flex league, right? So it's 12-team super flex, but it's all flexes, so you don't have to start a tight end. Jamar Chase or Brock Bowers, the tight end premium is 1.
We're at a 14-team.
14 team, sorry. I apologize for that. 14 team, deep in the queue. Well, I'm telling him, Jamar Chase. Mike's like, don't do it. Don't tell him. Well, he'd already accepted the trade, as you can see. He has accepted it on here. So I was looking at Warp, and we'll get into that. But, Mike, go ahead and just walk us through. You sent out this offer, Jamar Chase over Brock Bowers, with the full tight end premium and everything we know about the league. Walk us through why you did it.
Just listen, man. This is the premier definition of why Warp is so fucking important. Why you need this Warp tool in your life. Like, why? Adam, I get a little notification, which I love Sleeper. I love Sleeper because JCap comes and he hearts my Brock Bowers share. Let me know if he's interested. So, of course, I'm in the, in my bag, trying to figure out how I want to, approach potentially sending Brock Bowers.
How you want to finesse this, you know?
Yeah. And I look at it, and I pull up the Warp in this league, and I'm like,
by the way, look at the quarterbacks. Just, holy Santa Claus.
How many times have you seen a Warp line? Yeah, how many times have you seen a Warp line with the top quarterback being almost a 6?
Mike, it reminds me of Christmas because it's all red, and you're like, whoa. Like, Mike, just think about this for a second, and I'll get right back to your thing. But top 24 quarterbacks, you have a top 24 quarterback. You're at 2 wins over replacement player. Holy Santa Claus shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the Bowers and Chase thing.
So I'd look at his team, and of course I'm like, oh, this can't be this easy, can it? He's got Jamar Chase. I pull up the Warp. I look at it, and I'm like, okay, confirmed. Like, best case scenario, they're very equal on Warp, but we know how I like to play the tight end, right? The tight end position, kind of finicky year over year on who the top guys are. It has been lately. I mean, we did have a nice stretch of Travis Kelce just flat out dominating, but the rest of the guys, sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. Sometimes we get a Kyle Pitts here, and then sometimes you get 3 no Kyle Pitts years. It just happens with the tight end position. So I don't have to start one. I don't even need to roster these guys. There is a heavy tight end premium, which makes them valuable. But Warp told me as soon as I pulled it up, I was like, just take the wide receiver every single time. And if you're operating already on a very equal level of wide receiver and tight end, I was like, just fuck it. Like, let's see if JCap's like really paying attention, right? JCap's a part of the squad here. see if he's actually using the warp tool and looking at it the same way I am.
Yeah,
I'm going to send it 1-for-1, man. I'm just sending Brock Bowers straight up for his Jamar Chase.
a part of the squad, and also,
More
I mean,
gold.
we're on the warp tool right now, but when we go over to the lab, this is the creator,
The creator of the lab. The
created
guy.
the lab, right? So here's, I guess, when I looked at this, right, after the trade's already done, right? Because by the time I even answered the question, the trade was already done. On the surface, right, if you go to single year and multi-year, so for the record, if you're looking at this multi-year graph, right, this is the average of the last 5 years of warp, okay? And when you go to single year, obviously you'll be looking at last year's graph, but you can also change the year to any year you'd like to. Last year, on the surface, I think this is where I wanted to talk about it from. You're looking at Saquon, Bowers, Jamar Chase last year. They're basically all, while Jamar Chase is technically ahead, they're basically all right there in the, low fours, right? But when I look at not just single year in warp as a whole, right? If you told me that you think Brock Bowers is by far the best tight end, I wouldn't fight you. I don't think Mike would really either at this point. When I look at the line, though, okay, and when I'm looking at the line, you can see over here, right? Gold is tight end, and the wide receivers are blue. As you can, basically, when we average it out for the last 5 years, while technically not much different, it slightly is leaning to the receiver, right? Last year, this is tight end 1 and wide receiver 1. So to me, it's like on the high end, while they're maybe replaceable, I still would prefer the receiver. And then if you're looking at it from this standpoint, if Brock Bowers doesn't finish as tight end 1, right, even tight end 6, there's a pretty sizable difference now all of a sudden. And I think that more than anything from the warp standpoint to me is where I'm already really leaning the receiver. Because even if Jamar Chase finishes as wide receiver 12, that's basically what tight end 6 is going to be. And that would be probably still Brock Bowers having a nice little season. I think in general, not having to start a tight end already made me lean the Jamar Chase side because that's the asset I want in a vacuum anyway. And then you tell me this is what the warp says, not much of a discussion personally.
No, this was pretty easy for Jamar Chase. I think probably my favorite part is not just the trade in general. I'm not going to victory lap. I got one. Listen, I have no regrets about this whatsoever. When he asked that question on AMA, I was like, fuck, Adam, tell me you want Bowers. Tell me you want Bowers.
Mike wanted me to wingman him so hard that I'm lying. I'm like, I can't do it. I got people watching.
But when you pull up the lab here, I just want people to keep this in mind. This almost has nothing to do with the trade, but since we're bringing up the league, right, in that warp line, this roster, I'm going to roster bait to this just a little bit. It's a 14-team super flex with that warp line, Adam. Just check out these quarterbacks. Classic Mike. Mike.
Let's do it. Let's take a look at Classic Mike. So one of the things I was looking at afterwards, I'm like, damn, Mike's team on the starters is really high. But then when you look, it's like, holy crap. Is he aware of this? Well, I find out later that you are. But I'm like, is he aware of this? You got, Tank Bigsby, Jalen McMillan, like Elijah Arroyo in flex spots. Oh, I see. We got Drake May in the super flex. We got Bo Nix. We got Penix. And we got Mr. Badback, Matthew Stafford in. I don't know if this was just a lucky thing, but Aaron Rodgers, getting back in the driver's seat. One more shot at this thing, right? And the bench, for what it's worth, really isn't that horrible. When I was thinking
it's not a great contending.
It's not a great,
team.
but it's not like terribly built. What I was going to say is the quarterback horde I think still is to be implemented or potentially to make this team better, and this is where a lot of the value is tied to. Which to the record makes me feel like, holy crap, if we're looking at just starters, right? So this value here is let's keep trade cut starting roster value, and if you're towards the top with these shitters in there still, like this has a lot of potential to go further north, right?
I already got a few contestants sniffing around the quarterback market. I had to tell Mr. Deep Sea himself last night.
Deep Sea.
Buddy, you don't even have enough on your entire roster to buy Drake May off of me. So
you might want to shop lower, like in the clearance section, or go to a different store.
I got a great Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers for you, man.
They've got your name written all over it. Matter of fact, you try this on in the dressing room, you're going to look fantastic.
All it's going to take is a Terry McLaurin and a 27 first, and Matt Stafford can be yours.
For sure. And just think about this. Terry McLaurin's asking for a trade. He might not play all year, you know?
So to think I'm coming off these quarterbacks easy in a 14-team superflex too, I was looking around last night because I love this too. When you QB hoard, they're always like, I'm just going to go to a different store and shop. Not a lot
Well,
of teams.
I was just going to say, this is a quarterback hoard, Mike. Honestly, I would consider this you know, not an egregious quarterback hoard in a 12 team, but it's
No,
definitely a quarterback hoard. Mike, but to try to put emphasis in a 14 team league, okay? This means that by and large, if we're talking starting quarterbacks, right, the de facto starting quarterback for each team, not every team can have 3 by numbers.
no.
So just with that in mind, Mike not only has 3 of which are in the top 12, but you got Penix, you got Stafford, you got Rodgers. To literally have 6 starting quarterbacks, although 2, whatever, lower valued ones, crazy. And then when we go back to, as we were talking about earlier, the warp, as I said, the top 24 quarterbacks in the average over the last 5 years, these guys are north of 2, right? So
Yeah.
y'all better shop, or if you don't, just know I can beat you just by the combination of these 6 right here, right?
They'll die on my bench if they have to. They'll die on my bench. But
Pay that
hey,
man his money.
JCap, thanks for the Jamar Chase, right? Appreciate it.
I mean, I guess to JCap's, let me give JCap a little credit here, right? I mean, maybe this helps you rebuild, right? Looks like he's in a rebuild mode.
There you
It helps keep some points off your roster, right? So there you
go.
go.
Gets a little younger. Yeah,
Yeah, boom. There you have it. So
there you go.
even Mike says some positive things to say about you, you know?
Good job.
Well, it wouldn't be the trade show without some tomfoolery, some fuckery. Let us know what you think. I think actually it's probably, when I looked at it, Mike, I think it's probably closer than I wanted to admit, but I definitely still want the Chase side. So that's my final take on it. Let's talk about this one here, buddy. Trayvon Henderson, who I think with the Quinshon news is now starting to become, for a lot of people, more the de facto, 3 in the class, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so Mike, now here's the thing. We're not talking 3. We're talking 1, possibly and arguably in the mix of the entire NFL. Bijan Robinson, or would you tear down to Trayvon in a 27 first, albeit, of Matty McBean, who you're sending Bijan to? This is in a 12-team lineup, start 11, with a 0.2 points per carry. The league is named Ballers. As I get ready to pull all that stuff up, Mike, where are you at, just kind of in a vacuum on the surface right now with this one?
Knowing how Mr. Wonderful operates, I think it's a good deal. It's pretty heady. Like, knowing how he plays through all this time, he's pretty smart about it. I would say for the average person, though, this scenario, if you're doing this because you're like, Trayvon's that next guy, like he's on his way up, and I'm going to tear down off of Bijan and pick up this first, I would be a little bit cautious if your intent is to keep Trayvon on your roster, right? Instead of capitalizing on the highs. Whether that's now or whether that's a couple games into the season, whatever. I think Trayvon is a very good, very, very good running back. I think he's a very good prospect. Here's the problem. It's not the greatest offense, right, on paper in New England. So we're not talking about a shit ton of scoring opportunities right off the rip. That could change. And I think Ramondre is a very, very good complement to what Trayvon doesn't want to do anyways, right? Like, Ramondre is that great grinder between the tackles. He's built for it, and he's got some talent of his own. I'm kind of worried that Trayvon is going to be more of this complement, change of pace, third down, but without the success that we saw from Jahmyr Gibbs, in that same role. Like,
Yeah.
you think about those guys complement it. I don't like the offense as much as like what Detroit had going for it when they kind of made that luxury pick. It feels like Trayvon was the New England luxury pick that they really couldn't afford to have a luxury pick, right?
Yeah,
So,
and I mean, if you talk about the Gibbs thing too, like Gibbs is so the talent that he has, right? And you could say we're splitting hairs potentially, but he's so talented that in the volume role that he has, he's still great enough and elite enough to almost negate that type of workload, right? The average running back isn't going to be considered in the elite tier with that type of usage. It's just not really the way it goes. But Gibbs is that type of dude. And we've yet to see if Trayvon is that. I think talent-wise, he's very, very good, right? I'm not trying to say he's not talented, but Gibbs is also on a – say what you want, but Gibbs is in an elite tier as far as talent goes.
And you don't like to project like stuff, but, Trayvon's problem in the past hasn't been his talented. It's been his injury history. He gets banged up sometimes. Last year he stayed healthy throughout the majority, if not all, the season, which was great. Is that going to continue, though? Like, is that something you can count on? And at the running back position anyways, it's such a fickle asshole that it's tough to project that kind of thing. I would say this, for me, too, once we switch over and we end up looking at the warp on this, too, there's another argument against it, but only on the side if your plan is just to hold Trayvon for the whole time. Like, if you're saying, like, hey, I'm getting good production, and then I got this first, it's okay. It's okay. Like, I understand it. My initial reaction, though, was, boom, if I'm Mr. Wonderful, if I'm smart about this, I'm pocketing that first.
Yep.
And then now I take Trayvon and I go to, something that I project for either better production, but maybe more crusty in age or whatever the case may be. Because I'm not going to rely on Trayvon's production after I just came off of Bijan's production. When we look at the warp on it, it's going to make a pretty good fucking case on why that was a bad idea if you're just going to hold on to him, right? Like, if your next step is to capitalize on Trayvon, his current value, or if you think there's going to be a little bit of bump when he makes a highlight play early in the season, then fine. Go ahead and do that. If you're going to sit there and hold him for the whole year, though, I don't like that trade very much for the Trayvon in the first side.
Yeah, well, I think so. One of the things I was going to talk about is that I see Mr. Wonderful make a lot of trades like this where just thinking about it, I'm like, okay, he's probably more in a rebuild situation. Because if I'm in a rebuild and I'm looking to move Bijan, it's like, okay, I get the process, right? Tear down to Trayvon, get the first, and then now I have Trayvon who's probably worth more than a first when he has, a game where he's playing well, and you can move off of that asset too. Then I'm looking, it's like, okay, well, we're kind of balls deep on competing here, right? You got Trayvon, you got Derrick Henry, you got Jefferson, London, McLaurin, you got Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Alvin Kamara, Jacoby, Lamar. Not the greatest quarterback three, but Flacco, at least for right now, potentially could be that. And then you're looking at, Mixon on the bench. Here's the other thing. When I look and his 26 first is gone, I'm like, okay, like, you're in compete mode. And then I look and it's like, all right, you got a little mini horde going now with picks in 27. So it's like, I get it on the surface. You also have some additional seconds. But knowing you're contending, right, just on the surface from Bijan to Trayvon, I think the asset dynasty-wise, Trayvon Henderson makes sense with this type of a value shift. But if I've already moved my pick in, Mike, like, this feels a little bit tougher already. Just because Trayvon Henderson, I think, his workload early on definitely is not locked in. And there's not even necessarily a guarantee that he is that second half league winner as far as the contending side goes. Now, to your point, right, let's go ahead and let's head over to the warp on this league. And I think there's probably an argument on both sides, frankly, when you take a look at the warp. You saw the 0.2 points per carry in the trade. And this is kind of what I expected, right? Money green, leading the way. But is this a money move? When I look at the top 18, Mike, as, right, over, I mean, we're pushing 4. We're at 3.23. You're like, all right, well, it's not Bijan potential level of 6 or 5, but the first in addition, right, if I could go buy another running back, it's like, all right, maybe it is better off having 2 of these backs because Trayvon Henderson's still a running back. Where are you at, though, when you were talking about the warp tool and wanting to get over to here? So go ahead and, do your business.
If you look at the multi-year warp and we're looking at the top guys, right, historically, which is where almost everybody's going to project Bijan, right, for 2025, like a top 3 finish, like that's why we're fucking drafting him where we are in Dynasty or redraft or wherever the fuck underdog, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
we're thinking top 3. Top 3 starts, historically at 5.3 wins over a replacement level running back.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, if I project a pretty good year for Trayvon in his rookie year for a contender, right? If he finishes a RB1, that would be a big win. That'd be like, yeah, Like, fuck yeah, we're excited about this. Rookie year, timeshare, not the greatest offense with Ramondre. RB1 season on Trev, he did work. I mean, James Cook last year was in this league was like right where like I would project Travion to be on a good year, and James Cook had like 47,000 touchdowns, right? Like
And a couple more, you know?
yeah, and a couple more. Now, if you look at it, that top 3.6 ahead of him, 3.6. So I'm giving up almost 2 wins for 27 first in a couple years as a contender. That's my problem. Is if I'm saying, hey, I'm just taking this production, even if Trev has a good year, I'm still giving up damn near 2 wins in warp for a 27 first, which, listen, can you buy 2 wins with the 27 first? Yeah, if you do it smartly in season and buy one of these veteran crusty running backs, or somebody who's borderline worth a first, you can make those 2 wins up. But the gap between Bijan and like RB12 is pretty fucking sizable. I mean, 2 wins isn't nothing to sneeze at. And that's just saying if Bijan's like RB3. Historically, if he's RB1, we're talking closer to 3 wins, Adam. Like the RB1 historically is almost a 7 warp player. That's a fucked. I mean, you're almost getting doubled up there. Like you're
Sure.
almost getting like I need 2 Travions to make up for this Bijan.
Well, I guess when I'm looking at it and thinking about it, right, I'm kind of looking at the lab still on the back end of this, and I'm thinking about this. There's some teams that are not really very well built and probably not anywhere near a lock to make the playoffs, to where the fact that I now have 3 27s, and I don't know what his plan is, right? Kind of a man that has not necessarily a method to all of his madness, Mr. Wonderful, right? But like,
Start swinging wildly.
yeah, things can get out of hand crazy in a hurry, watch your head. But the way I'm looking and thinking about it is maybe it's almost like a little bit of a value insulation move, right? And get into the picks of 27, especially because that class is very coveted. And now I have, instead of having Bijan, because knock on wood, right? Anything could happen to any player. But if, to your point, if Bijan goes down now, right? That is not saying you still couldn't move him. He's super value insulated, but I almost now can use these 3 first to still 3 first and 27 should be able to buy you Bijan back theoretically, or Gibbs or someone that's in the same breath. So maybe it's kind of a this is how my team's different, and this is kind of my joker card. All I'm trying to do is stay within the mix of potentially earning a bye, which his team's still built well enough to possibly do, and then move these picks in to. Because here's the thing, start 11 with all this running backs, Mike, it might be better off to almost go buy 3 different running backs, right, with those first, or 2, right, to make your lineup the best. Or if you're in the situation where you're kind of ahead of the curve, you could afford that consolidation piece to send all of them to go get a Gibbs or whoever. That I think, let me just say, that would be the way I'm probably playing it. And when I'm looking at this, the one way that makes sense. Because seeding Bijan Robinson's potential upside in this league, it honestly feels tough to do.
I would just highly recommend then moving Travion, which I would imagine he's probably going to shop.
If you're moving Bijan, Mike, here's the thing. If you're moving Bijan before the season starts, I got to imagine Travion is in the, he can go to mix, right?
He can go to. And that would be just another down tier. Like, can I get James Cook or Josh Jacobs or, Kenneth Walker, Kyron or something else, and get a plus on top of, on top of one of those guys for my Travion share, right?
Yeah.
You guys take the dynasty value. I'm still going to stick with very similar, if not maybe slightly better production, and I'm just going to keep stacking those assets for, like you said, we get in season, something bad happens to one of these elite running backs that I have on my team, like a Derrick Henry fall off or something for him personally. I got all this draft capital to go to backfill, and, I got this flexibility. So I like it from that full stand. I know a lot of people out there will just they will take Travion in the first and just ride Travion out as a contender. And I think that's where you're leaving shit on the table, where it's like, dude, Warp will tell you, having that shot at one of those top 3 guys means way the fuck more than just getting an RB1 in a first.
Well, and let me just add to that point, Mike, everything I was just saying about the first, to me, it's almost like, hey, especially because I'm thinking about it this way. I have 3 picks now in 27, which are quote unquote contenders, right? But are not guaranteed. There's certainly possible that some bad things happen. All of a sudden, if you're non-playoff first, any one of those, you start dangling a Trayvon Henderson who's playing. Sometimes that type of an asset is like maybe now you could send Trayvon to a team that's not in the mix in rebuilding. That they almost prefer that than the first, right? And now all of a sudden, to your point, you're playing with house money. I like the idea there.
Good deal, though. Hey,
I will say though, buddy, frankly, as I, trying to get us out, put us into the lab, trying to get us out of the warp tool. I think on the surface for Matty McBean, this probably feels really good. Again, the big caveat, Mike, is the 27 picks, right? If I'm looking at betting against your team, even if your team is good this year with Bijan, what if your team breaks down next year and it's like, oh, this is an early 27? I think I still lean the Matty McBean side in the vacuum, but process-wise, it could be dangerous. Dangerous.
Could be.
Speaking of dangerous, Mike, A. Rich is in the trade here, but we're looking at George Kittle, T. Higgins, Devon Achane, and a 26-second for Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Anthony Richardson, Tyrone Tracy, and a 27 first. This is in BDGE 54, which is a 12-team Superflex, half-point side and premium, lineup start 10, so pretty vanilla. I mean, Mike, where's your head at here on this trade? I'm curious, but where are you at here? How do you want to break this down? How do you want to take on this Big Mac Daddy? You know,
right? And it's crazy too how much the A Rich thing is gonna Redwoods cover your ears. How much the A Rich thing is ascending here? Like
teetering.
It's
teetering up.
We're at the bottom of the climb back to the top, man.
It's swimming upstream.
This becomes tough. Like if this is 3 fucking weeks ago, with the uncertainty around A Rich, you understand the panic.
Yeah, and I also let me just say there's a lot of interesting parts of this deal. So how do you want to start carving this up? I mean, what do you like? Is Kittle and Evans similar? Or is it Kittle still too much there?
Well, I don't know if people are gonna like this. All right,
probably
but for
not.
me,
Every time you have to say that, they're probably not. Okay.
A Rich right now.
Oh no.
A Rich is worth a first. He's worth a first.
Oh no.
So if you look at it, you got 2 firsts on one side with A Rich and the 27 in there. Okay. Would you pay 2 firsts for T Higgins or Achane? I'd say you're right on the borderline for both of them.
Yeah, I think both of those players are like, I don't know if I would specifically pay it for that player, but those players are in the mix of other players.
What if I gave you a second?
I think it's correct. Honestly, I think they're both 2 first players. For me personally, I have other guys in those tiers that I would prefer, and I'd rather try to send the 2 first for. But I think that's a correct evaluation.
So A Rich the first, and so we'll call Achane in the second. We can cancel that shit out.
Okay. I was going to say, I think you could just cancel out A Rich in the first for either one. Let's say T Higgins or Achane. Let's say Achane since you said that. Okay. Let's say Achane's gone now.
Yep, he's out of it. So T Higgins for Evans and Kupp in a lineup start 10. Adam, I'm taking T Higgins, and it's not relatively close.
Would you take T Higgins ahead of Evans, Kupp, and Tracy?
Yeah, I probably would.
So there you go. Because here's the thing, right? Even if you save the second and Achane now, right? Even if you give him the extra credit, give him the second, you're still a Kittle off here.
You're still a Kittle off. So this one's
this is
easy.
Kittlebells. They're heavy. This is heavy on the Beagle side, you know?
The only way this works out for the other side, the only way it does, is if A Rich continues this ascension, right?
Which could happen. It could happen.
If we're talking about A Rich at the end of the year finishing as a QB1 in fantasy football with his which means he had a pretty successful season, didn't get hurt and benched a whole lot, right? That A Rich in the first side is going to kind of feel like, all right, I held serve with some Evans and some Kupp and whatever the fuck Tyrone Tracy's production is. But look at this. I got a 27 first off of this guy. And I got Anthony Richardson, who we talked about it on AMA a little bit. If A Rich has a season, Adam, I mean, we're right back into like 3rd round, 2nd round of startup talk this time next year, which is not absurd. I'm not saying it's likely. But if you got a fantasy quarterback that looks and plays like Anthony Richardson, and he can finally start to put it all together, I mean, that the upside is unlimited. Like it's unlimited because that's what we're looking for in 12
Unlimited.
team. It's what we're looking for in 12 team superflex leagues. We're looking for those superstar Konami mobile quarterbacks who just shit fantasy points left and right.
So a couple things I wanted to bring up with the lab here, as you see, right? Go over to the the-lab.southharmonff.com. Dig into the lab, free tool that we offer here. Honestly, use it all the time. We, as you see here, we use the Warp tool in the lab all the time. That's why it's baked into the trade show. Here, this is one of those examples of when you have a quarterback hoard, sometimes you can actually, although there was many other assets than just a QB there, right? You can move off the A-Rich hype now, possibly. I'd imagine that trade isn't getting done 3 weeks ago. So to Mike's point,
Right.
that has to be baked into something here. But if I'm still left with Stroud, Tua, and Jalen Hurts, Mike, you can take A-Rich. I like A-Rich. I'm probably more often than not wanting to move off of him because I believe there's even more value to be had upswing, but I'm willing. I'm willing and able. This is kind of one of these egregious things where I'm looking, it's like, okay, makes sense based on this trade that Beagle's team looks like this. I mean, dear God, have mercy on y'all's soul. But who allowed him to do this? But here's what I'm looking at that's crazy, right? For Clow, it's like Cloud without finishing the D on it. I'm not really sure what we're supposed to be doing. Clue? I don't know what it is. But you're the worst team in the league as far as keep trade cut starters. However, I was thinking about why the hell are you taking on Evans Cup, right, in this type of a deal? Obviously, though, when I'm looking at this team, it's like, well, this appears to be a guy that looks like he thinks he's contending.
He thinks he is.
Now, dangerously, right, you could potentially, in a potential insane world, with a Fields and A-Rich, like there's a world where you thread the needle on dynasty value at the moment and fucking upside juiced to the tits points, right? Now, again, as we get through this, I'm not sure this is the type of bet I'm looking to make, but I just wanted to point that out. Evans, Godwin, Pittman, like you're betting on a lot of assets, I think, that are kind of counted out at the moment.
Right.
When I look at the bench, though, this is where it's definitely a no-go for me. Like this is a problematic team, and I don't know. I guess maybe the one caveat and thing would be to note here, like, all right, in season, if it doesn't work out, you could move on from Evans and Cup, hopefully, for a little bit of a profit before they get hurt, hopefully, because both of them have that in their range of outcomes because we've already seen it as they're getting older. I don't think I like it for the other side. Not to mention that the value's not there. Just in principle, like I get taken on the 27 first, but I don't think I'd be trying to thread the needle and compete with this team personally.
Yeah, I think it was just a bad eval of self eval of where my team
but I can
is
tell
at.
you, he has a type, guys. All right, we got Malik Willis off the bench, we got Joe Milton off the bench. Now we got A-Rich and Fields. Like I want that crazy, undervalued, but through the roof, through the moon, potential dynasty value here.
We got a type.
We've got a type. Yeah. I don't think we need to look at the warp here for this one specifically. We'll save the warp tool for a better day and a better trade. Let's take a look at the Skull Squad, huh? We got 12-team Superflex. We got a 2 tight end, half PPR, and a half-point tight end premium. This is a start 11 on offense and 11 on defense. Okay.
How the fuck does this get done?
Here's what I want to know, Mike. When we talk about the trades and it's like, all right, one of these things don't belong, like to get a 6th in this deal is fucking huge for that side, Like
Massive.
It
Massive.
absolutely changes the entire trajectory of the trade. Like this is the one piece that just absolutely is like for the 6th I would do it. I mean,
too much.
It's insane. It's just insane. You're talking about the Anthony Richardson upswing, right? Mike, at this point, Tyler Shuck or A-Rich, who do you prefer?
Anthony Richardson.
How close is it, or how not close is it? What's the difference?
Close.
What's the difference? A second?
Second plus, probably.
Okay. Let's just assume. Let's just for the sake of the exercise, let's say a second. Okay. So now you have a second to make up. Although you did get the 6th, don't forget that. Mike, the difference between Ferguson and I guess here's the thing: the difference from Ferguson to go from Terrence Ferguson to T.J. Hockenson cost more than Jalen Wright in a 6th, and I don't know. Maybe this is gonna sound crazy. I think honestly, Mike, I might be more like Terrence Ferguson in a 1st, frankly, to go up to T.J. Hockenson.
And you and I aren't big buying into tight end guys, and we don't like spend a lot of capital on them. Dude, it's the price to go from Terrence Ferguson to T.J. Hawkinson's a 1st.
Right.
It's a 1st.
So here's what, but all that to say, right? I just, with all the assets, I've put them all out, right? We've already accounted for every asset on your side. And the other side's ahead by a first and a second if we're being generous.
Yeah. The easiest way to break this one down for me, Adam, was I wouldn't trade away TJ Hockenson for all the shit that was on the other side.
I mean, the 6 would make me think.
No,
but,
it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. I can't cap anymore. No, it wouldn't. So you got a free A-Rich out of the deal.
There you go. I mean, well, Mike, I think he got more than that because I feel like he's ahead by a first and a second. But even then, to your point, a free A-Rich is insane to say.
A free A-Rich.
Here's the thing: if you're Random Bob, like, to be completely frank about it, Tyler Shuck, aside from just being a quarterback that has the potential to start for the Saints, like, I don't really like anything on the other side, frankly, at all.
No.
I just acquired like a upside shot in A-Rich, right, this year, and even if it's not the upside that I'm swinging for, the points per game potential, and a tight end that's in my opinion, like kind of one of the top 5 cornerstone pieces. Like, what the fuck? This is outrageous. I don't need to know about the tight end premium. Frankly, I don't need to know about the defensive side of the ball. None of the other shit matters. This is just it's insane. It's almost as insane as Ransom, our friend Ransom Bob. If you know, you know. Check out Savage Semester. By the way, next week, Mike, might be the grand finale in person last week of the Savage Semester this year. Okay, E-Money. Here's the thing. Is this a money move for E-Money? Would you tear down from Omarion Hampton, given all the off-the-field news with Quinshon, right? Would you tear down from Omarion Hampton to Quinshon Judkins to pick up a first and a second from the manager that's receiving Omarion Hampton? Mike, in a lineup start 11.
Dude, back-to-back trades, back-to-back smashes. I love the patrons here, man. They know what the fuck they're doing. They pay attention. Easily.
Would you do it for a first without the second?
Yes.
There you go. I'm with you.
Yeah, and in the second, you just now
we're soaking. I probably would not do it, Mike, for just a 27 second. Okay, but I would do it for just the first, and the first and the second is just. I mean, this is to E-Money. This is easy money, man.
The way the two are perceived right now, with Quinshon taking the hits because of the off the field stuff, and Omarion's getting Oh yeah, no pun intended. Holy shit, that was a bad one. Damn. Sorry. Taking a fall with the off.
There we go. Yep.
Is that better?
Value's going down. Let's just say that.
Value's going down. And Omarion Hampton on the rise with the Najee Harris stuff. Plus also just looking yoked out of his mind and all the camp hype around him. Mm-hmm. They're going in opposite directions. Sure. I couldn't do this for just a second. I would be getting in my bag, like I'd feel like I'm settling, but it's a smart move for me if I just got the first. You add a second onto this. This is I think we're way past edging at that point.
I was gonna say we're no longer soaking. I think the first is a heady move. That for a lot of people, it's like you're doing too much with the 27 first. You're playing into that too long. It's 2 years out. Blah blah blah. I think that would be a good discussion. The first, I think the first is probably a good discussion where I would prefer the asset of Judkins in the first. The second makes it, to me, it's a little too egregious. Like, I know they're out 2 years, but and I know the deep class narrative of the 27 doesn't necessarily carry over to truly these seconds, right? But it's just too much value. Because here's the thing, right? If I can get through, whether it's this year or the following year, the Judkins missing of time, whether it's 4 or 6 weeks, that's probably the range. Once we're through that, Mike, I'm not saying I wouldn't prefer Hampton, but now the needle is going to be probably pretty tight on these two assets as a whole. So now it's like, holy crap, man. If you find a way to kind of get through that down spell of, Quinshon Judkins' value and him missing time, especially in your lineup, and it's too much value, dude. It's just too much value.
If you were...
Especially, I was going to say, a start 11 league where now it's like, okay, start 11, I can go buy another... Just think about this for a second. What can a first and a second buy you right now as a player?
You might get Kenneth Walker out of the deal.
You could definitely, I would think, get Kenneth Walker at the right time, right? But
maybe Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor types, I think, is definitely a possibility. I think, I don't know if it's going to get you T. Higgins, but it's going to get you Devontae Smith possibly. Like you're
Yeah.
talking netting a serious player in a start 11. And if you wanted to, I would very much imagine you can get a James Conner and a player in the first range, like a maybe not quite Zay Flowers, but I don't know, something like a Mike Evans. Like just being crusty about it, you could get probably an Evans and a James Conner. It's like, oh shit, start 11, you just got 3 starters. It's crazy.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, Adam, if you're in a rookie draft right now, you're on the clock at the 104, and your choice is to take Amari Hampton, or somebody comes into your inbox offering you, let's say 201 for Quinshon Judkins now, a 27 first and a 27 second. Like, I don't know of many people who don't go like, yeah, I'm good with this. Check.
I think you bring up an interesting point, because I think I still would put Quinshon ahead of the 201, right? But so for some people, it's like, that 201 might be scary. But to me, knowing that if it wasn't Quinshon, the other players I could get there, I think it's a great way to illustrate the point, right?
Yeah.
Even if you prefer to wait until 201 for Quinshon, that's where you value him at. Like, I think I'm doing that. You tell me it's a locked-in 201, so basically a late first and a 27 first and a second and 27. Hampton can leave my teams, Mike. I would say this. Hampton can leave my team in basically every league, I would say, for 2 firsts and a second. And so that 201 might throw a wrench in there possibly, but to me, a locked-in 201 is essentially like a late first. So
yeah,
I would 100% be there.
I just put Quinshon there at the 201 because we've done a couple rookie drafts in the last couple weeks, and Quinshon slipping in the second.
Yeah.
He's 202, 203, 204 sometimes.
The news cycle narratives are crazy. How much they can affect people's values, man.
But if you just think about the 201, if it's not Quinshon, if he isn't falling there, are you good with a Caleb Johnson or an R.J. Harvey or Colson Loveland, or Jackson Dart, Matthew Golden, Luther Burden on his hype coming up right now?
There's somebody there that's going to fit this narrative of, okay,
exactly.
Right.
Insert one of those guys, a first and a second, and you tell me that you wouldn't trade off a Hampton share for that.
No, I'm with you. I'm in. Here's the thing. If Hampton becomes what Mike has been victory lapping of, he's going to be basically what Genty is, just maybe not quite valued as high. I think that's the scenario where the Hampton side wins. Like, you're going to need him probably to get more into the Genty range, and if he does do that and he is looking like just him, all right. That's I think the edges we're playing on, right? Yes.
It's back to the Bijan Trayvon trade that we had earlier, right?
But I think Hampton still has some work ahead of him to get to that point. I think that's how you would win this trade if you're Zoga. And to me, it's not that I don't like Hampton, Mike, but I feel like there's a lot of scenarios where that doesn't happen, and he's still a very good player, right? It's just you got to get him into the top 4, I think, locked in, maybe top 3 range, realistically, of running backs.
The last North Carolina running back that we had that we hyped up and we thought was going to be the next.
He's going to be the starter for Dallas this year,
He's
right?
going to be the starter for the Dallas Cowboys, maybe. We think, I don't know.
Sorry, Fish. Not sorry, but
another Mr. Wonderful trade.
Guess who's back? Back again. Now, here's the thing. What you will see is that the Who's had to sneak himself into a deal here, Mike, and that's how this worked out. So, Mr. Wonderful's back with the Who's. This time, Mike, in a 12-team, 2-quarterback. This is America's game. Best ball start 11, 0.25 points per carry, 1.5 tight end premium. The points per carry, I think, is the big thing to note here, right? The 0.25 points per carry, because we're looking at the trade being Caleb Williams and Drake May, as well as Breece Hall and Tet. So Mr. Wonderful's acquiring Caleb and Breece Hall. Would you rather have that or the Who's side for Blitz of Drake May and Tet McMillan?
Without diving into the warp too deep, just on the surface here, listen, I want Drake May and Tet, and it wasn't relatively close. Like, I'm taking Drake May over Caleb Williams straight up, and Tet over Breece Hall. Now, the point per carry does add into it with the best ball thing. So maybe there's a pretty good case for Mr. Wonderful that, hey, Caleb's close enough to Drake May for me, or I got him in the same tier. Maybe I have Caleb above Drake May, and he felt like that was a win. And then the points per carry for a contender pushed him over the top on being able to send away 10. So we got an interesting one here. We're gonna let Warp decide this one, Adam. But if there was no context around this one, I like what the Who's got pretty easily, and I would make that deal myself.
Now, it's interesting you brought up the warp, because when I was looking at the points per carry, like, sometimes the warp does start to lean towards what you would see and think about scoring. This to me is that, by the way, right? When you're looking at 0.25 points per carry, Mike, it's like, okay. Top asset overall in multi-year, 5.5, running back 1. And as you look, to me, the biggest thing is if we're staying inside the top 24 range of running backs, right? In best ball, I kind of I won't say all things equal, but I want to have a lot more running backs in that top 24, 30 mix in general in best ball. And then you take a look at this warp. I mean, there's definitely a boost to the running back. Is it enough? Is, I think, the question now.
I would say yes. I would say yes for Mr. Wonderful as a contender. Now, the interesting one is then we'll go to the lab. Does this deal make sense for both of them? Is Mr. Wonderful competing and the Who's is playing more of the middle game or possibly rebuilding? Which, if he is, even though the running back warp is good for him, like I'm still going to want to get into those young, elite tier drafted wide receiver. Like, as like you take the running backs and enjoy all the risk, I'm taking the young 6 overall pick wide receiver who's coincidentally showing out at camp, I guess, just making highlight catches all over the place. So I would still do this deal if I was
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and ask you shall receive. Go ahead and take a look over here. Although Adam's in the last league, so we'll have to change this up. But Mike, have you looked at it yet? And do you prefer?
Nope.
Okay.
I was waiting for the suspense.
The suspense. Well, I'm going to help you the suspense out here. Looking at butt stuff, which is the wrong league, but that's probably where everyone's brain is leaning to right now. Butt stuff. Here's America's game. So, Mr. Wonderful, clear top contender, at least on the lab's sake. So now his team looks like Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams as his quarterback 1 and 2. We got Bijan and Genty. We've got Neighbors. We've got Igbuka, Rome, Pitts. We got Knox. We got Travion, Brees, Olave, Kyler Murray off the bench. So 3 very, very good quarterbacks. Quinshawn, Bashaw Tootin, you can keep going down the list here. Very well-built team in best ball, man. Jaden Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, Calvin Ridley. Like, this is a good-ass team. Are you signing for Mr. Wonderful's move here now?
Yes. As a contender, he's getting off. And really, you can look at this Caleb Drake May wash if you want, but then you're going to look at it as, listen, while in Dynasty, just universally, I'm going to favor the wide receiver over the running back.
Right.
In this league, as a contender, sometimes I want to get off those projection wide receivers, and especially with this warp with the point per carry, I want to get into actual production on the field. And while Brees isn't the sexiest anymore, and there's the Braylon Allen shit and all that, whatever the fuck's going on there, I got a really good feeling that in this league, Brees Hall is going to mean more as far as me winning games as a contender than what Tet is going to be. So I'm okay. Listen, the rest of my roster is constructed well enough. I already have a shit ton of youth on this team. I need to turn some of that youth into actual points on the field and consistent points on the field.
Yep.
And if you scroll down and you look at the Who's, exactly what I was talking about. If I'm more in the middle or leaning towards a rebuild,
right? No, this is a move. This is a move that
you
works
take
out
the
well.
fucking points. You take the points. I'm taking the long-term dynasty value.
Listen, this is a move that I think, honestly, this is a patron on patron crime. So it's always, it's like picking kids, right? Like, who wins this deal? Well, I don't have to pick a kid.
Both winners.
This is a great deal for both sides. I will say, Mike, especially everything you just said, kind of to piggyback off of it. If I have an asset like Tet, right? It's not that I don't like Tet, but those type of assets in best ball, I want to try to get off. If I can get off of those players for similar value that I think that they are or reasonably close, I'd prefer to, because when you go back and look at the warp tool, right, and you look at the warp in best ball, especially a player like Tet, who I don't think is in the reasonable range to be an elite receiver, like an elite league winner, right, in this first year. Not that he couldn't be at some point.
Right.
Mike, I can replace that with a Jacoby Myers and, like 2 Jacoby Myers can give you just as much, if not more, possibly, than what Tet will in year 1. So go ahead and let me lean into this warp of, let me get Brees Hall. Let me take on the potential risk of all the narratives, if you will. I'll do that easily. And to me, Caleb Williams and Drake May is kind of a wash, but I would prefer Caleb Williams. And I think given the Ben Johnson, coming in and the fact that the Chicago on paper is built really well, I think he should be someone that I would project to outscore Drake May. Not that I don't like Drake May, but in a vacuum, 1-for-1 on a contender, I would take Caleb. So I think the deal makes a lot of sense for both sides personally. And,
bravo, gentlemen. Bravo.
It's an easy one to tie out. Okay,
Another
Pro
TJ
Bowlers.
Hockenson deal.
Last one. Now TJ Hawkinson's back. I don't know if he's worthy of making the thumbnail, but I think he just might be. He just might have to. Zach Willard is acquiring. Now, the last time it was TJ Hockenson and A-Rich. This time it's TJ Hockenson and Rome. But, Mike, here's my question. Would you rather have Hockenson and Rome or, in a lineup start 10 Superflex, Zay Flowers, likely Darnold in a second?
Was this done before Isaiah Likely broke his foot and everybody started crying?
I think so.
It had to be, right? Had to be. Had to be
Yeah,
closer
I
to
believe so.
Isaiah Likely as top 10 Dynasty tight end on Keep Trade Cut for some
I believe
god-awful
so.
reason.
Yes.
Unlike the last one, I can't say definitively, right, that I want TJ Hockenson over everything on the other side because I do like Zay Flowers. Sam Darnold is a starting quarterback in a Superflex league. That has some value. There's a second involved in there.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say TJ Hockenson or Zay Flowers to you, Adam, I'm kind of at like a toss-up. Like, I'm kind of
Yeah.
at a toss-up on which one I'd rather have. I
agree.
like both.
I agree.
I like both. So let's just cancel those guys out. Now, if I told you Roma Dunze or the rest of the shit that's out there, dude, it's clear Roma Dunze for me. It's Sam Darnold's the second. There is a second involved. Isaiah Likely's a fucking third-round pick in value. Sorry,
Yeah.
not sorry.
I was going to say, Mike, if you remove the likely foot injury and you tell me it's best ball, I think I can kind of get behind it because basically this, like,
The 4 for 2.
yeah, the Rome. I was going to say let's cancel Rome and Zay, although we'd be leaning Rome, right? But in in a vacuum, if I was doing that, now it's like, okay, I would, Mike, as much as I dislike Likely, right? TJ Hockenson, I would down tier from him to Likely possibly. If you're telling me you're going to throw in a Sam Darnold and a second, like, all right, I might do that in a best ball league. This is a lineup start 10 with a full tight end premium. Like,
Right.
no, this is TJ Hockenson over the, clusterfuck of assets that are kind of all much below a first. I think that's the biggest thing. In a lineup start 10, the market and the economy is going to already be in up tier, right? So if I'm more willing to up tier, I definitely don't want to down tier from him to a bunch of like, I don't want to do that all over the place. I'm good. Give me the Rome over Zay, and then give me TJ Hockenson over the rest of these pieces. Or if you did it the inverse, Mike, like you said, don't disrespect Rome like that. Rome over Darnold likely in the second for sure.
I applaud you too for touting the difference between this lineup start 10 and let's say it was a best ball start 10, because if this is a best ball start 10, Adam, I'm not bullshitting you. There's a very good case depending on how my team is. I might take the other side, even though I don't like Likely and I don't like Sam Darnold. I like Zay Flowers, but like you said, at that point in a best ball league, I'm looking at Zay and Rome going like, same shit. I prefer Rome, but I've seen
willing
Zay
I'm willing
enough
to kind of get rid of the upside of Rome potentially to just lock in Zay Flowers in a best ball, right?
But at that point, even with this 1.0 tight end premium in a best ball, I'm like, listen, I'm getting a tight end. He might have a week or two. It's best ball. I don't have to pick when to start this fucking guy.
Right.
I'm getting a starting quarterback for now.
Yeah, and that's the big thing in Sam, right?
And I'm getting another second liquidity where, like you and I talk in best ball leagues, that makes me going out and buying a Cooper Kupp, James Conner,
another name your tight end
Jones.
Mix, right? Name your tight end if you wanted to add another tight end to this, right?
Yeah, even at that point, we're like, man, Chigga Kwanku really is fucking cooking with Cam Ward. Let me get a Chig. Like, all of a sudden, I've taken one tight end, I've turned him into multiple. I picked up a quarterback, and I swapped wide receivers.
Right.
In a best ball league, this becomes like, I do it on the other side. But in a lineup start 10, there's no fucking way, because my whole goal in lineup start 10 is stack this fucking team with studs, with warp difference makers, top to bottom. I care about depth for bye weeks and injuries, and I need some depth. But that isn't my primary concern. I want studs, which is why in lineup start 10s, you don't see me tearing down off of the Jamar Chases and stuff like I do when I'm fucking playing best ball. It's like, split these babies up, get rid of them.
I actually just thinking about it and piggybacking on what you just said too. The way I think about it is this trade to me, if you're telling me this is like we're pushing the playoffs, the deadline's coming up, like it's a lot in a league that's a start 10 lineup. These trades always exist on the other end. So if I have to now, because I'm trying to win the title, make a trade that's probably antithetical to what I'm looking to do, and I need to spread my team like across the starting 10 better, I'm able to do this throughout the season. I would be probably a lot more okay with this if you told me like Darnold's for sure locked in. He's playing well. He's going to be their starter for the rest of the year. Like, this is not a trade, though. I'm not going to basically, I'll consolidate to these guys every time in this time of year. If I had to, kind of take these and multiply assets in the season, I could get more behind it. But right now, there's so much risk on that end. Like, Darnold is not a lock, 100% lock finish to start the entire season for them, right? Likely he's got the injury now. Zay Flowers and Rome are kind of the same asset, and the second is still liquidity, but not enough for me to care. This is definitely no chance I would do this in lineup start 10. Zach Willard, well done, my friend. Well done to end the trade show.
He's just out here smashing. Zach Willard knows what he's doing.
Zach Willard, yeah, he does. Mr. Willard knows what he's doing, and if you want to show us that you also know what you're doing, patreon.com/South Harmon. Come, check it out. If you want to be like Ransom Bob, too. I mean, jeez, talk about Ransom. He must have had Ransom on that guy he traded with. Dear God. These TJ Hockenson trades they were ripoffs, man. These poor people on the other end.
Yeah, he kind of spoiled it, too, because, the good thing about the Discord is you can tag me. And he put that in the trade show and then tagged me immediately.
Yeah, we saw that trade like 3 days prior to the trade show. We knew it went down.
He couldn't wait, man. There was no surprise, no suspense.
He's like, I don't want to wait to the trade show. Stroke me now.
I don't check the channel because I want to be surprised. I want to give you my instant feedback. I don't want to be one of these analysts out there that takes fucking 4 weeks to break down a deal for you. I'm giving you my thoughts right on cue. Except for that one, because I was like, whoa, what the fuck's he tagging me for? What the fuck is this trade?
Ransom.
What did you do? What did you do to this guy?
He's a family. He has a life, all right?
How dare you?
Think about people for a little bit. I mean, I'll tell you this, Mike. If that person watches the trade show, it might be the last time he ever makes a trade with Ransom Bob,
Could you imagine getting him live in Canton, Ohio at the Expo sometime? With this group of degens that we have that are already coming, oh my God!
I think you're onto something here, buddy. Speaking of which, if you're into that sort of thing, next week the Casting Couch is back. We're going to be doing a in-person trade show. Make sure you submit your trades. You're not going to want to miss the trade show if you are in the Discord, and if you're not going to want to miss this one. Make sure you go down, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, so you can catch us next week for the Dynasty Trade Show. We are out of here. Peace.